One of the first videos that I made was called "Organ Donation is a Scam," and this video right here is like a continuation of that video, except I'm not going to be adding to any information. So if you want to understand what's going on, you might want to watch that video first. I'll put a link down there, or I'll try to put one of those boxes right here. I'll figure out how to do that. So you can watch that. It's a little bit cringy. I was trying to be funny, but it didn't really come out that good. I watched it the other day and I was like, ugh, I want to delete this so bad. But it is informative, so check it out so you can understand what this one's about. But I'm basically going to talk about the fails when it comes to organ harvesting and declaring brain death. Okay, let's start with Colleen Burns. Colleen Burns was a girl who was in a coma from a drug overdose. The doctors looked at her and they declared her brain dead, called the parents to let the parents know that they should donate the organs. They agreed, and then after this they started doing the brain tests to prove. Legally speaking, I guess you have to do brain scans and brain tests and all kinds of stuff. Well, two of the nurses that were doing these tests, they found that she had proper brain function in certain parts of the test. They reported this to the doctors. The doctors, on the other hand, for some reason, instead of taking that information and canceling the operation, they made a decision to administer pain relievers, pain relaxers, sedatives, in order for her to not feel pain while they're taking their organs. Seconds before she's cut into to have her organs taken from her, she opens her eyes on the operating table. And at this point in time, it was a little bit too obvious that she wasn't actually dead, so they had to cancel the operation. The funny thing about this story is that the motto for the hospital where this happened at is a higher level of care. You know what? Jimmy Fritz from Switzerland. This dude was laying on the table. He's unable to move. However, he can hear the doctors standing over him pronouncing him dead. The guy also can hear the doctors talking about how they're gonna donate his organs. Well, luckily, another doctor, I guess who was the head doctor in charge, came back from being on a vacation. And when he came back, he looked at the scans and was like, you know what, let me go double check this to make sure you guys are right. And he found that the information was not correct, that he had brain function, and he saved the guy, basically. Okay, let's talk about Trenton McKinley. He's a little boy who was involved in an accident because him and his buddy were messing around, and he had fell off of a wagon that he had was being pulled by the other kid on a dune buggy. And yeah, his head landed on the pavement, and then the wagon landed on his head. It like smashed his head. The kid ended up dying. He died for like 15 minutes, flatlined, and then they brought him back. And when they brought him back, they told the mother, look, he's back, but in his condition, he's never going to be the same again. He's going to be a vegetable. So they talked her into signing the organ donation, which was going to be taking place the day after. However, the next day, he started showing signs of life, of not being brain dead.
They told me I'd be a vegetable. I don't really seem like a vegetable, do I?
Zach Dunlap. He was in a four-wheeler accident and was in the hospital. The parents were told that he actually died. And they even took photos, brain scans, and they showed him, look, he's dead. So they believed the doctors and they signed his organs away. The helicopter was on its way to land at the hospital so that they can take the organs when two of his cousins, which happened to be nurses, they went in there to say their last goodbyes. And in the process, the guy cousin was like, let me just double check. He busts his knife out and he goes to the foot of Zach Dunlap and he just scrapes it like this. And the guy moves his foot back. And he goes, huh. Then he goes to his hand, and he takes a fingernail, he puts his fingernail underneath his fingernail. It's a very sensitive area. And the guy jerks his hand back. Because of this, they canceled the operation. Well, check this out. Well, eventually, when Zach Dunlap recovered and was able to speak, he said that he could hear everything that was going on. He heard the doctors pronouncing him dead.
You heard the doctors pronounce you dead. You heard that, right? What was your reaction? What did you hear?
I'm glad I couldn't get up and do what I wanted to do.
You wanted to get up and shake them and say, I'm still in here, I'm alive?
Probably would have been a broken window they went out.
Christina Nicole Thornsberg. She was in an apparent coma because she took a certain medication and it made her blood pressure crash. Doctors considered her brain dead, no chance of recovery. But the thing is, she only appeared to be in a coma. She could actually hear everything the doctors were saying, which included she's brain dead, we're gonna take her organs. She was unable to move, but in her head she was screaming, I'm here, I'm here. Don't cut me open, don't hurt me, let me wake up. The head neurologist for this incident wrote these are only 3, but a 4-page report about how she's dead, she's brain dead, she's gone. But the mother didn't necessarily buy it. She said, I didn't believe them. She actually told the doctors, you're not God. You're not in control here. Which is dope. She refused to sign the organ donation documents. And guess what happened? Her daughter, Christina, eventually woke up. Okay, and then we come to Sam Schmidt. This kid got into a car accident, a really bad one. And just the same thing, they brain dead, you donate his organs. And just minutes before they removed him from life support, which is when they start the process of harvesting his organs, one of the doctors said, you know what, let me do just one more MRI based on a hunch that he had. Guess what? This guy found that this kid had actual brain movement. He had brain function. So the doctor told the parents, you know what, just to be on the safe side, he is brain dead, but there might be a chance. Let's give him one more week and see what happens. That night, this kid starts moving his fingers. Abigail Koff, this little girl who was shot in the head. I guess apparently she died. But when they brought her back to life, they told the mother, look, she's brain dead. That's it. It's a wrap on her. She ain't coming back. The mother didn't lose hope. She was sitting at her daughter's bedside, holding her hand.
I said, baby, if you're in there and if you can hear me, I said, just let me know. And within a few minutes after that, I was sitting there, and then all of a sudden, her hand just slightly went like that.
Jenny Hammond, this lady who was in the hospital, unable to move, but completely conscious. And because of that, she didn't know, she lost track of time. She was there for how long, who knows, days, weeks. Because sometimes she was awake, sometimes she was asleep.
And one of the awake times, I heard multiple footsteps coming into the room. And one male voice saying, this one's a sad case. Young woman, 2 small children at home. Her husband is being completely unreasonable. If he would just sign the forms, so many people could benefit from her organs. And I thought, you can't have my organs. I need my organs. There was another voice spoke up and said, doctor, is it appropriate to talk like this in front of the patient? He said, hello, she's brain dead. She can't hear anything. She doesn't understand anything. There's nothing there.
Stephen Thorpe, a kid who was in a really bad car accident, and according to the CT scans, irreversible damage. After being put into a chemically induced coma, the parents were told to consider organ donation. The father wasn't buying it though, so he hired a private doctor to go and give a second opinion. And guess what the doctor found? Takesha McKitty. Now, I don't know if organ donation had a part to play in this particular case, but she was declared dead and was even actually given a death certificate. Well, the family disagreed because when they were there looking at her, she was moving. What the doctor said was going on was that those were just spinal reflexes left over from whatever blood was in there, whatever cells and molecules or whatever. Yeah, just so the parents actually went to court. This happened in Canada, in Ontario, Canada. They actually went to court because the hospital wanted to pull the plug on her, and they were like, don't pull the plug. She's moving. She's alive. Nope. And so they went to court. They had to go 3 times. And at the end of it, you know what this Ontario Superior Court said? They said because she was clinically diagnosed as being brain dead, that she wasn't actually a person. They also said that death could not be subject to a person's wishes or beliefs because that could cause potential damage to what? You guessed it, the organ donation system. Well, at least the judge was honest on that one. May she rest in peace. Okay, and finally we get to the last one, which is my favorite one. George Pickering. George had a stroke and fell into a coma, I guess, and the doctors declared him brain dead. So the mother and his brother signed the organ donation forms. But the father, however, disagreed.
They were moving too fast. The hospital, the nurses, the doctors.
George Pickering was scheduled to have his organs removed when his father decided to take matters into his own hand. He showed up into the hospital with a pistol.
I brandished a pistol and I asked them to get out of the room. I told them it was my time to be with my son. I ended up holding my son's hand and telling him to squeeze my hand. Squeeze my hand, son, squeeze my hand. And he did that 3 or 4 times during the time.
Finally, after 4 hours, Pickering surrendered. But he says it bought enough time to prove his son should live.
That's that of the century. You know, like these are the rare cases that we hear about with people coming out of brain death and coming out of it. It's like a miracle, whatever, but it's not really that. Just be educated. Just know what's going on. Talk to your family members about it, so that if you are ever in a situation like this where you're not able to move and you're in the hospital and they have to make the decisions for you, you let them know clearly you do not want to donate your organs, okay? Explain to them why. Explain to them why, but make sure they know that no, you leave me on life support. You make sure you wait until I come out of this coma. And you do the same for them if they're in a coma, because brain death isn't real. It's not real, guys.